Inside the Imperial Fortress, deep in the actual war room, the Great Wolf himself, Grimnar, had called a war council together. He called Bilal and a small entourage to represent the Death Wing, as well as Captain Securius and a small entourage from the Ultramarines to gather together. The Great Wolf knew that something was suspicious was going on, and he needed to get to the bottom of it. Summon the canoness Ammon. I need her presence here now. As the Great Wolf began to speak, the canoness approached the Great Wolf. Canoness, I need to know exactly what you have found, and do not hold anything back. I know you know more information that you are telling, and I want that answers now. The canoness knew that she was being pressed by a very experienced lord, and who had seen many, many battles, and was well aware of many devious things that occurred within the Imperium, and knew that she had to tell him all that she knew at this moment. My lord, what I can tell you from my research is this. Those chairs are not really as what we have been told. They are actually chairs that used to belong to Chaos long ago. I'm not sure why. I couldn't find out further than that, except that these chairs allow warp portals to appear anywhere, and that means that Chaos can actually use these to increase their ability to stay on the material plane. It will actually feed them warp energy, and those keys will actually activate those chairs to such a degree that they can be opened anywhere in the material world, and to sustain their Chaos forces without monoliths and other portals. That's all I can tell you at this time, my lord. The Great Wolf listened to what she had to say, and he knew that this was dire times for the Imperium. The Chaos forces appeared to always be at least 2 steps ahead of them, but he planned to end that type of action now. He was not the Great Wolf for nothing, and he was the senior here. He had been there through a lot of these battles, and he knew that something else was being devised. He had let his fellow Adeptus Astartes know that he had spoken with his brother, Chapter Master Seth, on Hoth, and was told that the seat of Khorne was lost. The seat of Nurgle was lost, as well as they have lost the key of Khorne as well. And what was most depressing of all was that the appearance of Angron had came back to material world. His 1,000 years of banishment is over, and he was seeking revenge, and he knew why he was being, what that meant. Angron planned to settle a score with him for his plans on, and his tactical plans that actually helped banish Angron, but it is at a great cost. Many brothers were lost, including a new founded group known as the Grey Knights, or Chapter 666. No one else really knew about them except for himself, but his brother, Chapter Master Seth, had told him that the Lord Drago was actually present, so he knew that the Grey Knights were there. And he knew it was very dire for the Grey Knights to actually show up. That meant the demons were here and were strong in force. He needed to help his brother out, but first he needed to protect this chair at all costs and to get this back. You are dismissed, Candace Ammon. I have other dealings with my brothers. But be around, I may summon you again. And with that, the canoness bows and departs. To his brothers, he tells them that this is dire news indeed. And I must tell you that my brother, Chapter Master Seth on Hoth, dearly needs our help. But first we must take care of this seat here. And there's also another thing for you to know. That there is a demonic force here that hasn't been here since the time almost of the heresy. And this is Angron, who is known to be the son of Khorne himself. All the brothers listening in there knew what this meant, that this is dire times ahead for the Imperium. We must make sure that we do all that we can to protect this chair. It cannot fall into chaos hands. Also, something that I'm pretty sure that none of you are aware of, but I must tell you now. If we have to go to Hoth, and I am planning on this may occur, that you will see another group of Astartes there that you have never met before. They are known as the Grey Knights, and their main job is to get rid of demons. Grandmaster Bilal looked on. He had never heard of Grey Knights before, and he was wondering what this was all about. Grey Knights? What is this all about, my lord? I've never heard of this. Neither did Captain Securius, who was also kept in the dark about this. Why weren't we told before? The Great Wolf told him at that moment it was not a concern. But because of these newly developed events, I must warn you now so you do not fire upon them. They are to assist us. They are on our help, and we're going to need all the help we can. Also on Hoth, there is a strong Imperial force, Imperial Guard that will assist us in this. But right now, our number one job is to protect that chair at all costs. So, I need to know this. Captain Securius, how are we looking as far as our defenses for the Imperial Fortress? Captain Securius then began to speak. My lord, I didn't have that much resources like normally, but I salvaged as much as I could. We do have a void field that's up, but the void field will not hold as long. It'll protect us for a while, but I fear that it will eventually be broken. But I've also put in motion some other plans. I have received some reinforcements from Ultramar, but not enough to really help us. I have my company almost at full strength with the other assistants. Lord Grimnar knew what was going on. The others of their forces were spread out across the Imperium, and they knew that this plan had been set up to perfection by the Chaos forces. They were thin with their forces, and they were being attacked. And he had feared that all the rumors that he had heard were actually true. That this was indeed the forces of Nurgle that were coming, and he felt and truly believed they were coming at full force. He had looked on, and one of his advisors, Lontuk, had finally was able to arrive safely from the Valley of Dry Bones. And he had also told him about the demonic forces that he had saw as well. Stormcaller, what do we do about this particular issue? My lord, we will be able to help protect ourselves against the Nurgle's rod. We've made sure that we put our spells in place so that they cannot affect any of our forces. And we have made it focused that even if demonic forces actually arrive, no one will get infected. However, the fighting will be tough. It will be close and personal. I fear, my lord, we may not have enough forces to stop them. The Grandmaster Bilal also agreed. My lord, half of my forces were lost when we had fought over in the ruined city. I still have 60 of my brethren left, but I fear that we may be pressed too much even with this. But we will fight, and fight we must. Lord Grimnar knew that his forces may not be up to the challenge, but they were Adeptus Astartes. They were chosen by the Imperium itself to protect mankind, and this is what they would do. Captain Securius, continue working as much as you can. I fear that we're going to be attacked very soon. Try your best to get our forces as strong as possible up front. We're going to need it. Yes, my Lord. I will use all resources available to me. We will achieve at least some replicable, some type of defenses that will be adequate and will help us out. And we will have to fight as hard as we can, but that we shall. Very good. In the meantime, the Deathwing, you will stay in the rear and you will protect our rear flank. I have a feeling that we will be receiving other attacks that will come into the rear. That key, that Nurgle key, and if it does as you say it does, then that means they can come inside our forces if we're not careful. You'll help protect that key and make sure that it does not fall into enemy hands. Yes, my Lord, I'll actually split my forces up to assist and help out Securius' forces to aid them in the front, and the rest of us will be in the back, and I personally will be there to help protect that chair. Very good. This is what we must do, my brothers. This is a time that we knew that was coming. We have dire need, and we must protect this at all costs. Fight well and fight true. The Emperor protects. Both Grandmaster Bilal and Captain Sicarius both say, as well as they have heard from their great lord, the Emperor protects.